So much to get to today. So the U.S. government is headed toward a partial shutdown, and that is despite the White House and Chuck Schumer reaching a deal to peel off DHS funding from the larger spending package. But that agreement hitting a snag because of a key Republican senator. Congressional correspondent Bill Melugin is live on Capitol Hill with the latest to explain. Bill.
Yeah, Emily, good afternoon to you. It's Republican Senator Lindsey Graham who isn't thrilled about the way these negotiations have been going. He is the holdout on this deal, and he just spoke on the Senate floor a short time ago where he demanded a vote on sanctuary cities in order to lift his hold. Take a listen.
I will not lift my hold on this bill until I get guaranteed a vote on my legislation that would criminalize the conduct going forward.
And the clock is ticking. At midnight tonight, 78% of the federal government is going to run out of funding. Now, the deal between the White House and the Senate would split off a DHS funding bill from a package of 5 other funding bills that can pass with bipartisan support. Then it would fund DHS with a 2-week stopgap while ICE reforms are negotiated.
If Republicans are serious about the very reasonable demands Democrats have put forward on ICE, then there is no good reason we can't come together very quickly to produce legislation. It should take less than 2 weeks.
But that deal would still lead to a partial government shutdown tonight. That's because any change to the package of 6 funding bills would then send those bills back to the House, and the House is out of session this week.
We'll have to evaluate whatever comes together once Lindsey Graham stops his temper tantrum, and clearly he's going to have to drop his objection because of his obsessive quest to get this multi-million-dollar slush fund. This is insanity. This is who the Republicans have become.
And some Republicans say Democratic demands are all just to appease their far-left progressive base.
President Trump has come out and said, listen, I'll work with Chuck Schumer. I'll work with the Democrats. It's actually absurd what this political theater that the Democrats are doing here with DHS.
Emily, the Senate is back in session. They're going to try to crank out a deal today. Again, the problem is any deal has to go to the House. The House isn't here, and Speaker Johnson says he probably can't even get them here until Monday at the earliest. We'll send it back to you.
Bill, thank you. What is a bigger miss, Carly, the snow and the streets of D.C., or what is happening inside the House?
Yeah, I know. Well, it's important what Lindsey Graham is doing right now because the Senate does need a unanimous vote to advance this legislation. So one senator raising their hand and saying, I'm not going to do it, could really clog this whole process up. If he does get on board, however, this could be a weekend shutdown. You got to get the House back in session to advance this legislation. And it does show how divided Congress is. If this is a few days of a government shutdown and it somehow feels like a win, like these things shouldn't be happening at all. But if it's a short shutdown and ultimately both sides come to a resolution and you start to feel like this wasn't that long, this is no big deal, then you know that things are really mucked up when it comes to how Washington works.
I don't care if it's short, if it's an hour, shutdown,
right?
I don't care. The lawmakers keep their salaries. If they were penalized for this, we would probably have a resolution a lot quicker because there's a lot of economic stress involved in this. Once again, citizens get screwed.
So first of all, if this shuts down, it's a Democrat-owned shutdown because the 6 bills together would match the House and they could keep the government open. And the reason why that matters, Emily, is because ultimately this does nothing to Hakeem Jeffries' perhaps dismay. It doesn't do anything to ICE. ICE is already funded $75 billion through 2029. You don't even affect ICE. You affect TSA and FEMA. Money that FEMA right now is trying to deploy to Tennessee and Mississippi with an ice storm crisis that desperately needs those.
That's why there's so much angst on behalf of the population that are seeing this as sort of a futile temper tantrum, to borrow Hakeem's words, but only impacting citizens and federal employees.
Absolutely, and everyone's going to remember the last shutdown, which was the longest in history, all made over health care, which produced absolutely no changes that the Democrats want. I think the Democrats have to tread really carefully. The Trump administration, the White House, is keenly aware that both parties have skin in the game, and that's why they've worked so hard to try to come up with this compromise for now. It's now in the balls in the Democrats' court to show that they are willing to talk and kind kind of reach an agreement and hopefully have a very short shutdown this time.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.